Hello Ready Steady Freefrommers. Today we are going to make coleslaw. We're going to do this in two parts. We're going to make the mayonnaise and then we're going to make the vegetables to go with the coleslaw and then bring it all together. So I've already started to put together the mayonnaise. This is 30-second mayonnaise that we have done previously. So I've already started to put this together. Now in here I have 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of in here I have 1 egg, 1 teaspoon of lemon juice and half a teaspoon of mustard powder. And I'm going to add to it 2/3 of a cup of olive oil. Now you can speed this process along a little bit and help it along by putting the olive oil in the fridge and just keeping it in there because it helps the mayonnaise to emulsify quicker. But I've just got this room temperature. So that's fine. Now this is breaking the rules, as we know, with mayonnaise. There's no dribbling in. We're just going to zap it with the stick blender, okay? So here we go, going straight in. I've also got about half a teaspoon of salt in here as well. There we have it, that's the mayonnaise made. Looks lush. It's lovely and thick, so that's good. I didn't think I was going to get dirty, that's why I didn't put an apron on. Okay, so mayonnaise made. Now we are going to do the vegetable part of this. Now coleslaw usually basically consists of cabbage, onion and carrots. Now here I'm just going to make a small batch of coleslaw, and what I would normally do is use half a cabbage, but for this one I'm just going to make 1/4 of a cabbage. Now I have just chopped the stem out of that one there because we don't want the stem in there. So, well, I don't anyway, you might. So there we go, that's just 1/4 of a cabbage, just a white cabbage. Then I'm going to use red onion. You can use white onion, that's fine. I prefer the taste of red onion and it adds a bit of colour to it as well. So I'm using half a red onion, and then I'm going to use 3 carrots. Now the only reason I'm using 3 carrots is because I like my coleslaw heavily carrot based. So I like lots of carrot. So if you wanted to just have 2 or 1, that's fine. If you want to increase either of these, whatever you prefer, it's your coleslaw, so it can be your way. So now I'm going to use the food processor to slice and grate these because it makes my job a lot quicker. You can, of course, just do it all by hand. So you could just slice this really finely and slice that finely and grate the carrots, peel them, then grate them, and then add it all together. That's fine. But I'm going to use the food processor for this. Right, so we're here with the vegetables. The mayonnaise I popped in the fridge just to cool while we make this. So I've got my food processor ready and the carrots are peeled and we're all ready to go to blitz and put this together. It's a really quick job, okay? Now you can see this, I don't even know what this is called, grater, slicer thing. So this is the food processor grater slicer. I've got 2 on my food processor. You can see the grater things on here are a lot smaller than the ones on here. These are quite a lot bigger. Now this does make really fine grated things, so I don't want that. What I do want is large grated things. Now you need to be really careful because these blades are extraordinarily sharp. So I'm going to grate the carrots first and I'm going to use this bigger blade to do that. Now I don't know if your food processor is anything like mine, but when I process these things, it does the bulk of it, but it doesn't do all of it. It'll leave me with a chunk of carrot at the end, which is a little bit annoying, but you know, I live with it. So I'm just going to take out the little tube thing. Just going to slide this across so you can see a bit better. The lead's not very long on this. Okay, so in the top funnel here, there's 2 attachments that I have in mind. I've got this bigger attachment which opens up the whole hole for me. I'll just show you. So that's that there. So if you've got something that's super wide, so we'll be putting the cabbage down that super wide hole. But things like carrots, you don't want them to get lost in wobbling around. So we've got this, which helps us to reduce that space. So we're going to, it just kind of lives all in together there. So I'm just going to take this top bit out like that. And that will leave me just with the round hole. So I'm then going to pop in the carrot and get the next one ready to kind of slide down as it goes, all right? So just, there we go. Okay, so we're going to slide these down. I'm going to push them down using this plunger things as well. So I need about 3 hands for this. So as soon as you press it on, it goes really fast. Right, so that's the carrot done. So I've got a bowl here ready to pop everything into. Now if you do the half a head of cabbage, you're going to need a large bowl. This normal mixing bowl won't be big enough. So I'm just popping in that carrot into there. Then I'm going to take this blade off and fish out the lumps of carrots. So I did 3 carrots, so I know I should have 3 lumps. So there's 1. There's 2. And just got to find the 3rd. They're quite easy to spot. And there's 3. Now, I can either eat those, or I can grate them, or I can just chop them up finely. Or I could feed them to my chickens. So there we have it. So we don't need to clean this out because we're about to put more ingredients into it. We're going to do the cabbage next using the same slicer, but we're just going to turn it over and use the slicer because I want the larger slicer. When you use the fine slicer, it does it really very fine, and I want my cabbage a bit more chunky than that. So we're taking out the whole thing now. So we've got that big space and we've got the cabbage here as it is, this quarter cabbage. I'm hoping I can squeeze this into this, and I probably can't. So I'm going to just chop a bit off of it. Okay, so I've literally just sliced a bit off of it like that. Just sliced it off so that I can get all of this in there. Squish it in. Okay, now I'm going to plunge this down. Now this one is a little bit trickier because of the speed it goes at. And I don't know if all food processors are like this. It does leave me with some big cabbage leaves in there, which I don't necessarily want. So like that big, see, you can see the slices here, they're quite fine, they're almost like grated. So I've got this lovely sliced cabbage here, and I'll just show you, sprinkle it into there. So that's a really nice consistency. But then when you've got a big leaf like that that suddenly appears, it's not so nice when you're eating it. So I'm just going to fish out some of these big bits. So there we go, I've got the bulk of it out, so I'm just going to pop the rest of it into the bowl. There we go. Now if your food processor doesn't leave chunks or bits, then you could just leave everything in and empty it all at the same time at the end. So now I'm just going to finally just chop up this cabbage leaf. That'll do. Okay, just gonna num num num. Okay, so what we've got left now is the onion. Now, when you're peeling the onion, always take the outer layer off. Don't just take the skin off, take the outer layer. So the first layer of onion. It might seem wasteful, but it's not very nice to eat. The skin's really tough and you end up spitting it out anyway. Now, because of my funnel, not sure it's going to go down, so I've cut it in half lengthways just to try and preserve that. Now I'm going to slice this. You don't want to be grating onion in the food processor, it just turns to mush. So we're going for a fine slice because I don't want big chunks of onion in my coleslaw. Carrot's very nice. By the way, I use organic carrots. I haven't used organic onions or cabbage. They're not so readily available, or the cabbage isn't at least. But the carrots, they're much sweeter if they're organic. They're not that much more expensive, so it's all good. Right, so I'm going to pop this onion down the funnel in 2 halves. I'm just kind of put them on top of each other, okay? And I'm just going to pop it down like that. Now, a good tip, if your eyes water when you're doing onion, this is going to hit you. And a good tip for when you're chopping onions or dealing with onions is to stick your tongue out. If you chop an onion like this, how silly do I look? So if you chop an onion like that but keep your tongue sticking out, the onion vapours, whatever it is that gets to you, it goes to the first point of moisture, and normally that's your eyes, but if you stick your tongue out, it stops it going to your eyes so much. So it does work, honestly. I wouldn't make a fool of myself on the video if it didn't work. So here we go. Now, again, my food processor is leaving me nice big chunks of onion, so I'm just going to fish those few out, and the rest of it is fine, okay? So we're going to pop that in with everything else. So at this stage, I do want to get everything out of the container, because this is my coleslaw. It's not for the washing up and it's not for the bin. I do know that some people wear goggles when they're chopping their onions. So that's another tip that you could do, wear goggles if you feel a bit silly sticking your tongue out, but then you might feel a bit silly wearing goggles. Okay, let's have a look. There we have it. We've got the onion, the cabbage and the carrot. It's all in there together. So I'm going to give it a good mix now. So before I do anything else, I'm going to mix up the cabbage, the carrot and the onion. You can see this has made quite a bit of coleslaw. And this will keep in your fridge for about a week, maybe a little bit less. So to keep your eye on it. If it starts fermenting, you know that it's going to be quite a different experience. Okay, now this is my own recipe for coleslaw. The mayonnaise is somebody else's recipe, and I'll share that at the end. All the recipe will be at the end of the video anyway. But what I do with this coleslaw now is I put salt and pepper in it. This makes a massive difference. So I'm probably going for about 6 turns of pepper, so probably about 1/4 teaspoon, maybe a little bit more, and then probably about just over about the same amount for the salt. Now I want to give this a really good mix to try and distribute that salt and pepper all over the coleslaw. People put raisins in their coleslaw, or pineapple, or little bits of orange segments. That's nice. So if you want a sweeter thing in there, you can do that. You could chop grapes in half, pop that in, give that sweeter element to it. And look at that. That looks lovely. To me, that looks lovely because it's got loads of carrot in it, and I love loads of carrot. Okay, so let's add the mayonnaise. Here we are with the mayonnaise. We're going to add a couple of big dessert spoonfuls just to start us off. Probably going to need more than that, but we'll mix it throughout first. This will also help to continue to distribute the salt and pepper. Now you will find when this is in the fridge and it settles, the moisture will go to the bottom. So your top of the container will be drier than the bottom. So whenever you get it out to use, then bear that in mind, give it a good mix. So you can see there that it's just lightly coated, all of the ingredients there, all of that raw vegetable, it's just lightly coated, and that's quite nice. But if you want a bit more like I do, then we're going to add a bit more. So I'm going to go for about the same again. So I've nearly used all of that mayonnaise. There's not very much left. It's probably another big spoonful, but I quite like wet food. I like my coleslaw nice and saucy. There we go. So you can see that that's doubled, literally, the amount of liquid and moisture that's in the coleslaw, and it looks delicious. So I am going to do the cheeky taste test with this, not on its own. I'm going to make a little tuna sandwich and pop it with that, and then I will have the whole experience all together. So for the cheeky taste test, I've got a piece of blended bread. I've just got it out of the freezer and toasted it a little bit. And then I'm just using the last piece of some tuna mayonnaise that I made and spreading that across my toast. This is a great quick snack for lunch. So you could just do a couple of pieces of this, and then we get the coleslaw and just spread it on the top, like so. It's like an open sandwich. Right, just so it doesn't all fall off, I'm going to do the cheeky taste test like this. Look at that, looks lush. Okay, so here we go. Okay. Oh, it's so good. So, the combination of onion and tuna, it's lovely. And that lovely freshness. It's nice and crispy and fresh and smooth and creamy. Oh, this is good. I'm gonna have to have some more of this. So my phone just died while I was doing the cheeky taste test. Obviously it's really good. I didn't know if the phone had saved the video or not, so I stopped eating my sandwich. Do you know how hard it is to stop eating a sandwich when you're really enjoying it? So I kind of held off to see if it had still saved the video, which it did. So that's why it's a little bit disjointed at the end. So make the coleslaw. It's really good. It's going to be fantastic with your barbecues, with chicken drumsticks. Oh, this coleslaw is going to be great with chicken drumsticks and anything else that you want to eat coleslaw with. So enjoy it. Like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever you want to do with the video. But I hope you enjoy your coleslaw. All right, see you next time in the kitchen.